Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Buff Breakdown. Day 4, it's America time. So yeah, they're still continuing on with the themes and this lined up with my predictions as well, because today we got a 5-star foreigner skill buff for OG Abigail Williams and a skill buff to 3-star archer Billy the Kid. So yeah, again, the America theme. So maybe predictions should be shifted now to, kind of think about pairings of buffs, because again, they're both American servants this time, so surely it's not a coincidence at this point that there's been so many similarities. And obviously both of these servants definitely deserve more buffs, so hey, that's even better in my opinion. So let's start by tackling Abigail's buff, I think, and see what they changed. So they buffed her 3rd skill, which wasn't really good, so I'm glad they did, because it used to be on a 7-turn cooldown. It drained 1 tick of MP gauge from 1 enemy and then did a 20% attack down for that enemy for 3 turns. Yeah, I mean, honestly, even if both of these effects were AoE, it still would have been like just okay. But even then, it would have been quite bad on that downtime. So let's see what they changed. Now, unlike the previous days, they didn't just add new stuff to the thing, they also changed things. The attack down and the drain remained same, but the cooldown came down to 6 turns. Very important, because again, one of OG Abigail's biggest problems was always that her skills have way too high cooldowns for, the return that you got from them. So okay, the cooldown went down, great. But then they added 2 new lines. She now gets another 20% battery for herself, because remember, when they buffed her 1st skill, she already got a 30% battery. So with this, she actually immediately can get 50% gauge, which again, one of the bigger problems of Abigail was that her card gains were just really bad. So wow, another really good, way to address some of her biggest faults here. And then one more thing. They added a 100% damage mod for 1 turn against terrored enemies. Wow, that's a first. No one else has a power mod like that. And obviously, if you don't know, she has a terror herself, an AoE terror on her 2nd skill, all enemies, with a 50% chance to stun for 1 time, 3 turns per turn. That's a check, but again, only 1 stun can be achieved from this. So what this means is that if this terror buff itself is on the enemy for 3 turns, however, if the stun procs, I believe it is lost. So it can potentially mess up your damage, but at the same time, I feel like it doesn't really matter, because with these 2 batteries now, she can immediately MP on turn 1 if needed, which means unless they resist this 100% base chance to apply this terror, she's gonna be fine with this big power bot now, okay? I'm kind of surprised they went for 100%. Now, yes, the downtime is pretty big on it, because it's a 6-turn cooldown, even with the reduced cooldown, and it's only a 1-turn uptime on it. But man, that is actually gonna make her deal pretty significant damage on that turn. And I think, honestly, that was kind of one of her problems too, on top of the 2 previous ones I mentioned, that her damage just wasn't all that high either. She was mostly brought for utility because, team-wide gauge, defense down, terror, she can remove buffs before damage on her MP, stuff like that, I feel like she was really mostly like a utility foreigner. Kind of like how her summer counterpart feels like, to me at least. But yeah, now she can probably deal some occasionally high damage. But yeah, occasional is the key word here, because it's not a very high uptime. But this is a great buff. I love it. It addresses everything that was, in my opinion, bad with Abigail. The high cooldowns, the bad MP gain, and damage being a bit lackluster as well. Very, very nice buff. Now this year I had OG Abby even way further down from Summer Abby at a very sad C+, which was probably like tied for the lowest of all SSR servants or something. I forgot who was the lowest in all of our lists, but yeah, she wasn't looking very nice. And honestly, at that time, people were already kind of saying maybe we're a bit too harsh on her, but honestly, I didn't think so. I think you can do a lot better than Abigail, but now she does look way better. Will this change her immediately into like an amazing servant? I want to say no, because she's still mostly going to be hitting neutral outside of Berserkers, but obviously against Berserkers, her damage can be pretty decent now. But I'm thinking I'm going to plop her into a B tier for now. Maybe we'll revisit this again later when, or at least when the tier lists come out again. But yeah, it's certainly a good upgrade that addresses all of her problems, so very nice. I still think they could probably buff even her terror still. Not sure if they're gonna ever touch the MP, but I feel like the terror could also be buffed. We'll see. But yeah, it's a nice buff and much deserved. Now let's talk about Billy. It's another skill buff because they actually did add quite a bit of lines on this one. So it's a buff to his third skill, which used to be a base Mind's Eye Fake rank C. So on a 6-turn cooldown, he got a 1-turn evade and also 32% crit damage for 3 turns. Pretty basic, but it was a passable defensive skill. Nothing really bad about it, so it was okay. But this is the one they decided to buff this time. So now, on the same 6-turn cooldown, he gets the same 1-turn evade, but the crit damage was up from 32% of max rank to 50%, okay? So they, again, did change a little bit with these 2 servants, not just add new lines. Pretty cool, I guess. And then they added new lines, speaking of which, he now gets 30% quick up for 3 turns on himself, he gets 500% absorb for 1 turn, and he also gets a 30 star bomb on use. Pretty nice, actually. Now, sadly, his quick cards are very, very sad. They're like 2 hitters, and there's only 2 of them in his base deck, so they're basically as bad as they come. So sadly, this quick up will only affect his damage, not so much for his MP gain or his star generations. But obviously, damage is still a positive. We like damage, so that's nice. Now, they really seem to like to put him as a crit servant out there, because remember, on his first, he already hits a 120% crit damage for 1 turn. It's like a crit mana burst, basically. Then he already had this, but then they upped this number as well, so now he can get 170, and also he has a passive of 10%, so he can get, with all of the skills active and maxed out, he gets 180% crit damage for at least that 1 turn, which is quite a bit, I have to say. But yeah, pretty cool. The absorb is a nice bonus. It's not that big of a deal that it's only 1 turn, I think, because yeah, the downtime is big, because he's already an archer with a decent amount of base star absorb, so it's not a huge problem that it's not 3 turns, and especially when this is also comboed with the 30 star bomb, meaning that for when you activate this skill, you're gonna have a very solid crit turn on that turn, which is great because he really didn't have too much in the way of making stars easily. Like, nothing on his skill set had any star bombs, no stars per turn, no nothing, okay? Now, unlike Abigail, this doesn't, in my opinion, address everything that was wrong with Billy. It helps with his damage, it helps with his uptime for damage, but it still doesn't help in him spamming his MP more. And again, his MP has been buffed, and because it's a single target quick, it actually hits fairly hard, okay? But with this, it doesn't really help him spam his MP much. Yes, crits can help with gains, yes, the quick up can help with gains too, but with his deck, is not the biggest help with that, but it's still a very nice buff. This skill actually now is super strong. Like on some other servant, this could be absolutely ridiculous. With him, I still think it's contained and in the realm of absolutely fair, because he was in much need of a buff in my opinion. But I don't think it, like Abigail, it didn't address every single issue that I had with Billy. But it's certainly a big step in the right direction. They might even buff him again at some point. I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, I do like this buff overall though. Now on the tier list, we had about a sad C. And I think with this, I can definitely move him into either a C plus minimum, maybe even a B tier, honestly. Maybe I'm jumping the gun here, no pun intended. But yeah, let's just plop it down into B now. We're going to have a much better talk with more data and experience from people later on as well. But first impression, I feel pretty good about this. And again, this is ranked as a 3-star DPS, by the way. Nothing, again, don't compare to gold. So just so people forgot about my criteria. But there it is. Now, tomorrow for day 5, we are getting a 5-star ruler buff and a 1-star assassin buff. In my opinion, the 1-star assassin buff has to be Charlotte. If it's not, everything is wrong with this world, because at least the other 1-star assassins have something going for them, something to keep them relevant. Charlotte doesn't. She is completely and utterly forgettable and replaceable gameplay-wise, so they best buff her this time, please. Now, I guess having said that, since I am fairly confident it's going to be Charlotte, I guess we could maybe try and decipher who the ruler is going to be. So my original picks for ruler were Moriarty, ruler, and Bunny Toria, but they don't have the most connection to Charlotte, right? Although Charlotte did murder someone and Moriarty is kind of evil, but I don't think that's the greatest connection ever. So maybe it could be another John buff, actually, because remember, they would both be French, and they just today did a national combo of the American servants, right? So they could honestly, it could, I feel like I wasn't even thinking about John because she got a buff not too long ago. But now, since we're seeing some of these combos, which at this point, I don't think they're a coincidence, I'm thinking it's going to be Charlotte and John, but we'll see, I guess. Time will tell. So there you go, that wraps up another buff breakdown video. Again, very happy with these buffs, very much deserved, good choices for servants, nothing really to complain. I still hope Billy gets buffed later again, and maybe even Abigail's second skill, we'll see, but this is already helping them quite a bit. So if you enjoyed this video, do be a solid and press the thumbs up button on it, really helps out. Also, do subscribe not to miss out on future videos, because again, we're doing these daily. As soon as they come out, I will be here covering these buffs for you guys. Yes, sir. Also, a lot of other fun videos on the way, like free to play, etc. Now, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you tomorrow again. Let's see if the prediction holds true. And a peace out.